This is episode 7 of Chris Sweeney Talks To, and today I'm joined by Jen, or better known online as @CBucksRules. Now, she is a lesbian who speaks openly about issues related to sexuality and lesbians. So we're going to bring her straight in because we want to talk today about something called the cottonceiling. But first of all, thank you for joining me today, Jen. How are you?
Hi, Chris. How are you? I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on today. Cottonceiling, maybe let's just start with that because I know our conversation is going to expand into other areas, but for people out there that maybe don't know what it is or they've seen it and they don't get it, could you give us a very simple way of understanding what the cottonceiling is?
Of course. So the cottonceiling is very briefly is a coin termed by a trans activist and porn star. And basically it alludes to the invisible barrier a trans identified male encounters when wanting to date lesbians. So it could be the fact that, very much the fact that lesbians are not attracted to the opposite sex. So for that's what they will call the cottonceiling. It's just the invisible barrier that would stop a trans identified male to be able to date a lesbian.
Yeah, because I mean, nowadays we're all, things have changed. There's a lot more acceptance of trans people, but with that, someone like yourself ends up in a difficult position because you may go to a lesbian club or you may go to a lesbian dating app or whatever it is, and you will find trans women there who originally, trans women who originally were born male. And that causes a bit of confusion and a bit of issues for people. I don't think anyone's meaning to do it, but it causes that slight issue, doesn't it? Where someone like yourself is in a difficult position.
It is, and it's based on. To be honest, I think our position is that we do respect trans people. However, when it comes to sexuality, everything's about bodies and everything's about sex. Everything is about how you would like to interact with your partner and your partner's sex. If one does not want to interact with the vagina or with the penis, based on their own sexual attributes, their own sex, should I say, then they fall into one of the three or four, the three sexualities, heterosexuals, bisexuals, and homosexuals. So that's what it is. Now, what we're facing now is we see trans people who, males who want to appear females, and that's totally fine. They're free to do whatever they want. However, because they want to appear females and they're then attracted to other females, instead of rightly saying that they are heterosexual males, they suddenly say that they are lesbians. And when you look at the statistics of trans identified males who undergo sex reassignment surgery, literally I think it's about 9% of them do. The rest retain their penis. And I know there's a lot of jokes, back in the days on, sorry to be crude here, but when you say like lesbians don't do dick or lesbians don't do penises, penis repulsed, women, etc. That hits hard eventually when you get somebody who might appear like a woman, but still has the sex organs of a male, just saying, well, actually, because I've got long hair and makeup, you should accept me as a valuable or a valid sexual partner.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you're saying there. I was going to ask you, yourself or friends of yours. Have you been in a social setting and maybe been approached by someone for, not a relationship, but maybe obviously people are interested. They come over, they talk, maybe they buy you a drink or a coffee, as all the relationships begin in these kind of awkward ways.
Yes.
Have you got experience or people close to you that maybe you've been approached someone who you thought was a lesbian, but you know, maybe did have a penis, is it, I mean, it must be very difficult to say to a person, I like you, but, you know, it's not for me. You know, can you maybe tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I do know a few lesbians who have encountered that very same situation where they've done online dating, and, you know, despite them being careful about, you know, the situation, being able to navigate through their dating pool, and trying to avoid the people who are male, they still ended up meeting with somebody who effectively was male in the end. So that's a very scary, you know, situation to be in, because the other person purposely tried to cover up the fact that they were male at every turn. So it's actually very sneaky and very, yeah, I can't find the right word to say what is, but it's very weird to behave in a way like that, you know. So there has been quite a few people that have told me about their personal experiences with that. And I know that also in October, the BBC has released an article about the cottonceilings, and a few lesbians as well, a few notable voices also on Twitter came forward to basically say, I was coerced into sex. You know, I'm a lesbian and I was coerced into having sex with the opposite sex. So it's, you know, there is quite a few voices, a few people who've come across this issue, which is not a light issue. It's traumatizing, you know, to be coerced into doing something sexually that you don't want to do. And when you say coerced,
I mean, do you mean more from the point of view of force, or do you mean more the point of view of sort of saying, look, I'm a woman, you know, you shouldn't discriminate against me, you know, let's just keep it going? Is it more emotional, or is it more of a physical force?
It can be both. Okay, so it's when you're talking about coercion, it can be both. But I know that some of the experiences that I've heard of, was more of a guilt tripping, you know, like I'm a woman now, my penis is female, therefore you shouldn't worry about that, you know, the fact that I'm on estrogen and have long hair and makeup, that's sufficient for you as a lesbian to accept you know, the trans-identified male as a valid sexual partner. So, you know, it's more like guilt tripping women and young women into, you know, having sex with the opposite sex, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite scary, because you think about that, and I'd imagine that there's probably quite a lot of lesbians, or, you know, just general people who maybe would be attracted to someone who had transitioned. I'm sure there's quite a lot. So maybe I'm naive, but I don't see the need to hide it or be sort of sneaky, as you say, with it, because I'm sure there's people out there that would find them attractive, and why wouldn't they? You know, we're all different. We all like different things, and that's the beauty of the world.
Yes, and that's exactly also our position. However, a woman who sleeps with the opposite sex is definitely not a lesbian. That's where we're trying to put very strict boundaries. Yes, if you can like a very feminine male who appears male, but, you know, lesbians don't interact with the opposite sex sexually. That's the baseline. That is what lesbianism is. It's not about the clothes you wear or, you know, your appearance. It's literally about your sex, and what sex, you know, the fact that you want to interact sexually with members of your own sex. So it blurs a lot of lines, because in our community, you have lesbians who are very masculine in nature, but that doesn't make them male. All right. So masculinity does not mean male. Femininity does not mean female. Okay. Like, for instance, I wouldn't consider myself a feminine woman at all, but I'm still a woman, you know, so I don't wear dresses, I don't wear makeup, you know, I wear, you know, men's clothes, you know, it's but that doesn't stop me from being a woman. And people who sleep with me who are women, they don't cease to be lesbians because I don't, stick to the stereotypes, of what women is meant to be. So it's really something about the sex of your partner, as a woman, as a female person that you're interacting with. So yeah, that's where I think sometimes it's a little bit like people say, oh, but if a lesbian is okay to sleep with a trans woman, etc. But it's like, yes, but she's not a lesbian anymore, or she never was a lesbian. She was probably bisexual, and that's fine, that's totally fine. It's like, but the what we need is our own community, our own sexuality, because right now we do not have technically a sexuality that defines a woman who's exclusively attracted to her same sex, because a lot of men are now included in the term lesbian, etc. That's why they want to kind of stop us from using terms like same-sex attracted or homosexuality as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was interesting what you were saying there about maybe the clothing thing, and I think we all look at the stereotypes of blue for boys, pink for girls, and all that stuff. Yes. It's just so outdated, and I'm glad we're moving past that. But one thing I did want to ask you about was we were talking off camera before we come on, and you'd done a social experiment where you'd gone on a dating app. Yes. And you had sort of you've got some interesting results for it. So please do share your work, or your homework, shall I say?
I will. I'll be happy to. So I'm also working on editing that video so I could release it on my channel as well. But let me tell you, I just wanted to basically see what it was, or how it was now to date online, basically, because I found my ex-partner online, and that was really nice, because it's so difficult in a social setting to kind of date as a homosexual, because 95% or 98% of the females are heterosexuals or bisexuals. You can't really tell, so you can't tell who's attracted to women, bisexual or homosexual. So the online dating kind of put that all aside. It was just one nice, neat place to go and, find other women who will be interested in you. So that's, that was really fun back in 2014, So I just thought, let me see what it is like to do this in 2021. So I did create a profile. And what I did on my profile is make it clear that I would not be interested in the opposite sex. So trans identified males, or, I did put in my bio that I would be only interested in women who are proud women. So not people who didn't think they were women or thought they were men, or, just put really clear boundaries as to what I was looking for.
And this was on Tinder. This was on Tinder. Which dating app?
Sorry, I forgot to mention it. It was on her app, dating app, which is it's marketed as a lesbian app. Okay. But it is not for lesbians. It accepts, the opposite sex, in the dating pool, as long as they call themselves trans. So it becomes a dating app for everyone, really. So it's just another platform that's gone for lesbians, where they can feel safe and actually find what they're looking for. But I digress. So now what I did is on my bio, I just put that I was only interested in, I was born female, and I was only interested in other women who were female born as well. And it took me a few weeks, actually. I had quite a few interests. Funny enough, a lot of them were trans people. All right, so there was I counted at, and I do give a bit of the statistics in my video, where 1/3 of the people who contacted me, and that was about 34 people in total. So 1/3 of these people were males. And that's, you know, when I looked into the bios, that's what they said. They said that they were trans, you know, trans girl, trans woman, etc. So it's a lot of people to navigate through when you're looking for something very specific and when you're exclusively same-sex attracted. So, but it took me a few weeks, and one day I logged into my account just to find that I was banned from the account. So I decided to contact their customer support to see why I was banned, and they said that my profile was reported for having violated the rules. So I just wanted to get more information into that. And finally, the support, because I said, what exactly in my profile was phobic or anything? And they put in quotes that I said that I was not interested in trans women or non-binary people or anybody who wasn't a proud female. That's basically what they quoted from my profile. So the support person said, basically, trans women are women, and therefore we will not reinstate your account. So basically, that's all that happened. It was just, I was kicked off a lesbian dating app for not wanting to date male people. So I did ask them as well, like, okay, I did say I'm not interested in interacting with the penis sexually. So how would you like me to put this politely on a profile so that, you know, somebody who has a penis, a male, doesn't contact me? And they refuse, unfortunately, to answer the question. But I feel like as a lesbian, you should not have to jump through hoops like this, you know, to be able to date safely online. So it just became quite ridiculous, really. And so I did put a video together, going in far more details than I am now, but it was very interesting to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that, if we look at dating apps, and I'm not on any of these dating apps myself, but I think there's options where you can take it if you want children, or if you're looking for a serious relationship, or things like that. And I mean, maybe that's slightly different from what you're talking about, but you know, there is an analogy there that maybe you can put your preferences. And I mean, I mean, like you say, I think we should reiterate, you know, you show no animosity to trans people. It's just that you would rather not date a trans person. And it seems odd that you can't make that choice. Can I ask you, do you think the people that were contacting you were doing it because you had put that on your profile, or do you think they just didn't read the profile? They just looked at your picture and thought, I like her, I'd like to meet up. You know, do you think it was deliberate, or do you think it was just, you know,
honestly,
they didn't know?
Can I say, that's exactly the question that I asked myself on the videos. So I'm like, do they even read my profile? So yeah, I think, I don't know. I think maybe they didn't read the profile, especially if they were trans. But yeah, I can't say for sure. Maybe those who were actual females maybe did read that and thought, oh, okay, well, you know, she's obviously, you know, she doesn't want to date trans people. But yeah, honestly, I asked myself that question. I don't think I've got an answer. I can only speculate, like I did in my video. But yeah, it's maybe. Well,
you're obviously very popular. You know, you get 34 people. So I mean, you're obviously not struggling for
right?
You're not struggling for dates. You know,
I was surprised. I really was surprised, because that was not the case, like, you know, almost 10 years ago. So honestly, I was like, oh, okay. But I, you know, at the same time, like, a third of them were men. So
yeah, I mean, you know what, we're sort of joking there, but I mean, I think one thing we would maybe say, for yourself, you know, you're a very sort of confident person, or you appear confident anyway, and you know your mind. But I mean, is there an argument that this may be a slightly more dangerous subject for maybe a younger person, or maybe someone who's not as confident, and maybe just embracing the fact that they're a lesbian? You know, we don't want to exclude trans people. We don't want to have any hate towards them, but there is maybe an issue where you've got some vulnerable people deciding their sexuality, and then they've got this extra thing on top, which you know is difficult even for someone like you to deal with. Never mind someone who's maybe struggling with it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that's why I got a bee in my bonnet last year about this whole thing, because I'm like, yes, that is never going to be me. Like a trans person will never coerce me into, I just know my boundaries. I know how to set my boundaries. However, had it been, like 10, 15 years ago, I would have struggled. Honestly, I would, because, we're taught from a very young age, us women, to be kind, to kind of sit and smile, to be graceful, like to not rock the boat, so to speak. So there is something about being young where you're very susceptible to somebody maybe trying to push your boundaries a little bit. Which is, I think that's a lot, why people consider older women as, hags or witches or whatever. I think older women are so much more, capable of just saying, no, I don't like that. Please go away, whereas, younger people might just be like, oh, a little bit more soft around those edges in a way, or be like silent or not talk too much or trying to avoid a situation. It just comes with practice and experience in life to really set your boundaries and just to say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and I'm going to tell everybody, basically. So it's just a situation which is just very dangerous for younger people, I think. Although I do know, maybe older people might, who don't really know how to set the boundaries might be also affected. But I'm thinking, yes, in terms of how I would have been about 10 or 15 years ago, if myself, I wouldn't have been like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe, I should do. I should do this. And in a way, I did fall for it, because I did try to be straight. I did have a boyfriend before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I did. Yes. So it's a different me, basically. So I didn't want to be a lesbian. That was just like the worst thing that for me, I didn't want to, being seen as a weird person, or, being a target of homophobic attacks, people laughing at you. Oh, she likes this and she likes that, talking behind your back. I didn't want that, because I've seen what happened to, people who were homosexuals. So, I did try to be straight, and that was, it's just not fun. It really is not fun. And, there's things that keep me awake at night, thinking about them, because it's not like I didn't consent, but I knew what I was, and I knew that I wasn't attracted to men, even though I tried, So when I look at that aspect of my life, and then I'm thinking, with the new trans debate, especially when it comes to sexuality, and if, people, the opposite sex can be considered as homosexuals when they sleep together, like when you've got a trans man sleeping with a gay man, apparently that's, penis in vagina sex is considered now gay sex. It's just ridiculous. So, when you look at all of these aspects, I don't know how to get from them, but I just know that we need to set clear boundaries, have clear definitions for words, etc., and just teach our younger, lesbian who are coming of age, really, to set the boundaries really early. And also that it's not weird to be same-sex attracted, and we shouldn't feel ashamed or pressured to also accept any members of the opposite sex in our dating pool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'll ask you the next question, but if it's too personal, please tell me just to shut up, or I mean, no offense, but you talked there that you had a male relationship or mateship with a male, and I was just asking. I mean, obviously, I'm heterosexual, so I have no experience of this, but having sex outside of your preferences, shall we say, you know, does that stay with you? I mean, I've never actually heard anyone talk about it. Is it quite harrowing, even though you consented? So you're thinking people that maybe do agree to it, it's going to be in their mind even after they've done it, thinking I shouldn't have done that, or I feel bad about it. Is it quite a difficult thing to process? To
be honest, for me, it was, you know, because, you know, that there was a sense of really self-loathing, because I did all the things that I did. I did consent to them, but I'm not a straight person, you know, and I knew that from very, very young. And instead of, you know, seeking, you know, my community, I fought against that, you know, and tried to be straight, you know. So, you know, I have said homophobic, you know, slurs towards, you know, both men and women, you know, as a kid. You know, there's a lot of behaviors that I exhibited, which I'm not proud of, you know, now. So it's kind of the fact that I knew some people, they grow up, they try, etc., and then they decide. But I knew from very young that
you were fighting it. You're almost fighting it. Yeah,
exactly. So I think that's how I have a difficult time. You know, it's getting easier. You know, that, you know, the fact that I'm more honest with myself and more honest with others as well about what I want and everything. But so it is. There are things that I'm like, I wish I hadn't done that, or I wish I hadn't spent, you know, 4 years of my life, you know, with another man. You know, it's just, it's thinking back and thinking, you knew what you were since you were like, you know, 5 years old. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think that's great why we're talking now, and hopefully people maybe watching this, maybe it's not about hate or excluding someone. It's maybe just thinking, what do I want? You know, what's right for me, and then, you know, going forward with that. Can I just ask you one thing about the cottonceiling? Yes. Now, a real curious point I've got is, if you met someone who was bisexual, but they were interested in you, but they were a woman, would that still come under the cottonceiling, or would that be okay? You know, female, but they were bisexual, but they were interested in having a relationship with you, so that would be fine. They wouldn't meet the, you know, they wouldn't meet the cottonceiling. No, right? Okay.
No, a bisexual woman is a woman. We're talking about males. That's where the cottonceiling came from. Is from a man who was finding it difficult to access, you know, having work in porn, basically, with lesbians. So that's why that person coined that term, is because to him it was an invisible barrier to break into that business, into the lesbian porn categories, you know, as someone who is a male. You see,
and in terms of general awareness, you know, you've been very generous with your time, so I don't want to keep you too long. But I was just going to ask you about the sort of general awareness, because I've got to say, maybe up until last year, I don't think I knew I didn't know what the cottonceiling was, or someone said to me, I would not have had a clue what you were talking about. Do you think most people are aware, or do you think this is still quite a new thing? Because I don't think most people understand it.
No, I think a lot of people don't. It's not pertinent to them. So, you know, it's like me not knowing, you know, who won the football championship or whatever. You know, it's not something that I'm interested in. So it's a bit like that. You know, a lot of people don't know about it, but, you know, pushing, content that explains what it is, through the lens of, you know, a lesbian woman or lesbian people, such as, you know, the article from the BBC that they released late October last year. And then obviously what you're doing as well, you know, having me here talk about it, it just raises awareness that, there actually are men trying to force lesbians to sleep with them, and they do so by calling themselves, you know, women, you know. So it's like, let's be honest about what it is. It's no longer about, you know, what the person feels inside. It's about what now the person is doing to try to get somebody else to sleep with them. So that's just so I think, yes, we just must raise it as much as we can, you know, create content, even podcasts, etc., to talk about it, because it's a real thing, you know. And a lot of people, you know, sometimes I go on Reddit, onto my partner's trans subreddit, and I see legitimately some real lesbians, some women who are so heartbroken because they find it so difficult to interact with a male anatomy, and they're asking people to help them, you know, not feel so disgusted, you know, and that they want to make their partners happy, etc. And to me, that is conversion therapy, you know. So it breaks my heart to see women, and it's like, no, it's okay, that you're not a bad person. You're just a lesbian. That's all that you are. So you just must go and be what you are, really, as opposed to trying to change your thinking into accepting a male partner in the bedroom. So the more we talk about it, the better, really, because it's obviously affecting very small community, which is us lesbians. That, you know, it's a world that a lot of people are not, you know, privy to. So it's good to have as much content out there talking about the cottonceiling as possible.
Yeah, because I mean, it's, as I say, it's something I didn't know about, but even the way you're phrasing things, it just gives a whole new perspective of, you know, like you say, it's okay to be a lesbian. I mean, as if anyone's interested in my opinion, but, you know, actually saying it's okay to be a lesbian, it sounds so patronizing, but like you say, it is. We can respect everybody, we can accept everybody, exactly. But then again, you've got to accept yourself, which I think is the sort of key here. In terms of your own output, maybe you'd like to tell people about your YouTube, or, you know, they can go on there, and you're giving much more erudite commentary than I can. So you know, they can go on there and they can find out more about this, because, you know, you've got a series of videos and content that people can watch.
Yes, so I'm just getting back into the flow of things, actually, after taking a bit of a break. But my channel is called Same-Sex Attracted and Cancelled, Same-Sex Attracted and Cancelled. And it just talks about all of these issues, the new age homophobia that we're experiencing these days, for being called bigots, you know, and TERFs for not accepting, you know, the opposite sex in our dating pool. So if you've got the time, you know, drop by and have a look. But it is very, it's not for the faint of heart. I don't, sugarcoat anything on the channel. It's just so that everybody can see, hey, there is a problem with this. It looks like that, you know, there is a coexistence that is being forced on us, which is actually quite harmful to us. So, you know, we need to do something about that.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jen. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I wish you all the best. And thank you again.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.